Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm David Lamb. Here's a preview of some of today's top stories. First, the Hollywood Actors Union is asking members to authorize a strike to join writers currently on strike. The move could add more pressure on major studios already facing a production standstill. The Los Angeles Dodgers host a Pride Night every year, but this time, controversy sparks after the team rescinded its invitation to a drag group. Transgender individuals participating in sports has been a hot topic. One organization shares more on how this impacts school athletics. For our first story today, we have a new update on Hollywood. The Hollywood Actors Union asked members yesterday to authorize a possible strike. The move would add new pressure to major studios already facing a writer's strike. This has halted production of movies, scripted series, and late-night shows. Entity's Cost Jimenez tells us more.
The SAG-AFTRA Actors Union set a June 5th deadline for its 160,000 members to cast ballots in a strike authorization vote. If approved, the measure would allow union leaders to call a work stoppage if they fail to reach new contract agreements with major Hollywood studios. Picketers gathered last week outside Universal Studios in Los Angeles to support protesters from the Writers Guild of America.
The union has told us as members to come out here. They've told us to honor any contracts that we might have already standing, not to break those, but not to sign any new contracts and not to cross the picket line unless, like I said, we are contracted previously.
Over 10,000 writers went on strike earlier this month, after the union failed to reach a deal with Disney, Netflix and other media companies for higher pay and safeguards around the use of artificial intelligence, both of which are also of concern to actors. Some filming is continuing despite the writers' strike, but a strike by actors would lead to a broader shutdown across the industry. Negotiations between the Actors Union and the studios are scheduled to start next month. The actors' current labor contract expires June 30th. Cost Jimenez, NTD News.
California Senator Dianne Feinstein has reportedly suffered serious complications from her recent case of shingles. This report comes after the 89-year-old senator returned to Capitol Hill in a wheelchair on May 10th.
Senator Dianne Feinstein's office said on Thursday that she now has Ramsay-Hunt syndrome and encephalitis. Both illnesses are complications of the painful shingles rash. Symptoms of encephalitis include headache, fever, sensitivity to light, along with a possible long-lasting memory, language, and other cognitive problems. Ramsay-Hunt syndrome occurs when shingles affect the facial nerve near the ear, causing paralysis and hearing loss. A spokesperson for Feinstein's office told CBS Bay Area News the senator previously disclosed that she had several complications related to her shingles diagnosis. As discussed in the New York Times article, those complications included Ramsay-Hunt syndrome and encephalitis. Feinstein's case of shingles kept her away from the Senate for nearly 3 months.
A night meant to highlight inclusion has become one of controversy after one group was uninvited from participating in the Los Angeles Dodgers' 10th annual LGBTQ+ Pride Night next month. This comes after the Major League Baseball team received complaints from several Catholic groups and a U.S. senator.
The Los Angeles Dodgers announced that it has rescinded its invitation to a drag group called the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence from the team's annual Pride Night scheduled for June 16th. The group's website describes themselves as, quote, a leading-edge order of queer and trans nuns that use humor and irreverent wit to expose the forces of bigotry, complacency, and guilt that chain the human spirit. The group debuted in San Francisco on Easter Sunday of 1979 in response to the AIDS crisis that plagued the gay community. But not everyone appreciates the humor and satire the group is trying to convey, particularly among those who hold the Catholic faith. Brian Birch, president of Catholic Vote, condemns the sisters as a blatantly perverted, sexual, and disgusting anti-Catholic hate group. U.S. Senator Mark Rubio sent a letter to Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred, questioning whether the league is inclusive and welcoming to Christians. It reads, "The sisters are men who dress in lewd imitation of Roman Catholic nuns. The group's motto, 'Go and sin some more,' is a perversion of Jesus' command to go and sin no more." The group's Easter ceremony features children's programming followed by a drag show where adult performers dress in blasphemous imitation of Jesus and Mary. Following the Dodgers' announcement, State Senator Scott Wiener, a San Francisco Democrat and member of the legislative LGBTQ caucus, criticized the Dodgers for caving to pressure and kicking drag queens out of a pride celebration. And he praised the work of the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence as, quote, "amazing and life-saving." LA Pride has also announced that it would no longer participate in the annual Pride Night in protest to the team's decision.
Now, transgender individuals participating in sports has been a hot topic, especially so ever since a male-born swimmer won an NCAA women's title. This year, the Education Department proposed changes to gender identity in sports. Lawyers with the Pacific Justice Institute share how this impacts school athletics.
Sports has been an irreplaceable part of United States education for females and males. Now, as education departments face pressure in how to handle transgender athletes, the nonprofit Pacific Justice Institute shared how this impacts students in a video call on Thursday. They discussed Title IX, established in 1972 to separate sports by gender and preventing sex discrimination in athletics.
So this has been around a long time, and it's there to protect women so that they could compete and have their own athletic competition, because it wasn't fair for them to compete in men's basketball and men's athletics, men's swim team, because it wasn't, it was apples and oranges.
On April 6th, the U.S. Department of Education proposed changes to the decades-old sports law to allow participation based on self-identification, while with older students, such as in higher education levels, limiting some trans students from participating may be permitted for fairness in competitions. But the lawyers say Title IX and women's opportunities are being challenged.
This undermines the point of Title IX entirely. Whereas female athletes had sports teams, college athletics scholarships, etc., set aside exclusively for them, they now have to compete with biological males for those things.
The lawyers also pointed to the difference in anatomy and hormones, where males can produce 15 times more testosterone than females.
A woman can work as hard and put in hours and hours and hours of training, hit the weight room, do a ton of sprints trying to shave precious seconds off her time, but nothing she does will ever make her a man. The only thing she could possibly do to make things fair would be to inject herself with testosterone, and that's prohibited.
Locals in California reacted to transgender individuals in sports with the opposite gender.
I don't agree with it, but it's their choice to transition to transgender. As far as sports or whatnot, I don't agree that, such as males turning into females, participating in female sports, or vice versa.
I don't mind it. I think they should be given fair chance, and they have all the rights to compete in any sort of the competition for sports. So I'm kind of very neutral about it.
I believe that the strength is still there, meaning the males, not fair at all, no.
In Santa Clara, California, David Lamb, NTD News.
We'll now take a short break, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come back. 2 tunnels suspected to be used for drug smuggling were recently uncovered in the South. Investigators say one has already reached U.S. soil. And solving problems is never an easy task, but no task is too big for a group of LA students. They looked at some top societal issues and possible solutions. These stories and more coming up on California Today. Welcome back to California Today. I'm your host, David Lamb. So, 2 drug tunnels were recently discovered near the US-Mexico border across from San Diego. Investigators say one tunnel has already reached the US, while the other is still under construction and about 45 feet shy of the border.
Mexican federal agents say a few nights ago they discovered a tunnel under construction roughly a mile east of the San Ysidro port of entry. The tunnel was located in a Tijuana home near the border across from San Diego. Investigators say they came across the home when officers happened to be driving by and saw a man, quote, discarding a plastic bag before running into the house, which they later found contained crystal meth. Agents then followed the suspect into the property and found other bags also containing the drug. After receiving a search warrant for the home, agents discovered more packages and a tunnel that went straight down from the floor of the house and then north towards the United States. The excavation reportedly stopped about 45 feet shy of U.S. soil. Then, late last week, another tunnel was discovered in the same area of Tijuana. An anonymous tip led investigators to another house, which had no official address according to police. Packets of crystal meth were also on the premises, and another tunnel was found. This one reportedly extends into the U.S. U.S. Border Patrol acknowledged the existence of the tunnel but did not provide further details.
The U.S. Department of Justice has issued its support for a Christian organization in its lawsuit against the city of Santa Ana. The group claims the city is preventing them from providing food and drinks to the city's homeless.
Last January, the Christian organization Micah's Way filed a lawsuit against the city of Santa Ana. The group says the city is blocking them from fulfilling their faith-based mission to feed the needy. And recently on May 9th, the Justice Department filed a statement of interest in support of Micah's Way. The statement suggests that the organization could be protected under a federal law that protects religious institutions from discrimination in zoning and landmarking laws. According to the lawsuit, the city had denied the group an occupancy certificate and says the distribution of food and drink to the homeless violates the city's zoning ordinance. And if it continued, the organization would be subject to multiple fines and potential criminal prosecution. Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark of the Justice Department Civil Rights Division says that religious groups should be able to freely practice faith based on their beliefs. In a May 10th statement, Clark says, quote, discriminatory barriers and land use restrictions against faith-based organizations is unlawful. Many faith-based organizations across the country are on the front lines serving the needs of people experiencing homelessness. The city filed a motion to dismiss the complaint in March, arguing that distributing food and drinks to the homeless is not religious exercise and that the city's actions did not substantially burden the organization's religious exercise. A hearing on the city's motion to dismiss the lawsuit is scheduled for June 5th before U.S. District Judge David O. Carter.
Squirrels are the famous cute little animals found in parks. But too many of them have negative impacts on city parks, so one Southern California city is taking matters into their own hands.
To stop an overwhelming population of squirrels in the city, the Placentia City Council voted 5-0 to ban the feeding of wild animals in public areas. Passed last month, the ordinance includes banning bird feeders, saying it can attract squirrels. According to city officials, the increase in squirrels has negative impacts on city parks and athletic fields, specifically the abundance of holes that the squirrels have burrowed. They're also concerned about potential diseases ground squirrels carry and damages to the park lights from squirrels chewing through electrical wires. The city's action comes after Fountain Valley expanded rules against feeding wildlife on public property due to coyotes and people's interactions with them.
In an attempt to solve critical societal issues, which affect many of us, sometimes we need to turn to the youth of America to find effective solutions. NTD's Christina Corona tells us who's changing the world and how they're doing it.
Yesterday, 200 Los Angeles students presented their civic action projects, which are intended to highlight social issues they say are important to their generation. The event took place at the California Endowment in downtown Los Angeles. We spoke with Amanda Susskind, the president of the Constitutional Rights Foundation, who shared some exciting information about the projects created by the students involved in the program.
So the students pick the issue, and then the teachers help them learn about the issue, all the sides, all the different issues that come up around that, and then they craft a plan to make change by using their voice.
In addition to this local event, this is actually a nationwide project with more than 6,000 teachers and 200,000 students participating in the Civic Action Project program across the country.
Constitutional Rights Foundation has been doing this program for many decades in all 50 states. We help teachers to craft programs in history, social science, and civics classes, government classes, about how to get involved in issues that the children are particularly interested in.
Students involved in the Civic Action Project, or CAP program, are charged with taking a close look at social and cultural issues, and then attempting to create policies intended to influence the decisions made by policymakers in their communities. We spoke with Deborah Durardo, superintendent of schools in Los Angeles County.
So they learn how to write to their legislators, or they learn how to go to their school district and go before a board meeting and advocate for what their solution is to a really serious problem.
We spoke with student Jairo Martel, who was shocked to learn that more than 50,000 Los Angeles Unified School District students and families are unhoused, and he's come up with a way to fix that.
Our issue is student homelessness, and the fact that there are so many students that don't even have a home and are struggling just to even find a place to sleep. And so our solution to that was to use the many empty lots that LAUSD has to build housing for those students, even if it's just while they attend school, so they can just focus on their education.
The Constitutional Rights Foundation's Civic Action Project is a creative middle and high school program that helps young people dial into substantial issues which they feel deeply impacted by.
But it's a wonderful opportunity for them to identify with what they believe in, what their morals are, how they were raised, looking and researching a problem, and then using their own solutions and coming up with that to make that positive change.
The Civic Action Project recognizes that our students are a valuable resource to turn to when it comes to fixing issues which affect all of us. The Constitutional Rights Foundation continues their decades-long tradition of providing the next generation of leaders with a chance to be active participants in a world they will soon be inheriting. Christina Corona, NTD News, Los Angeles.
Now let's check in with NTD's Carlos Reyes for a sports roundup.
We have a great lineup today. This is your California Today Sports Roundup, and I'm Carlos Reyes.
First up, it was a star-studded red carpet event in Los Angeles on Wednesday as FIFA launched its new logo and campaign for the upcoming 23rd edition of the World Cup. It's scheduled to be played in the US, Mexico, and Canada, marking the first time three nations collectively host the world's biggest tournament. This gala took place close to the iconic Hollywood sign. The newly unveiled logo combines a sleek number 26 emblem and, for the first time, the image of the World Cup trophy emblazoned in the center. And of course, FIFA president Gianni Infantino was there for the global brand unveiling.
One of the learnings that we had in the last World Cup was really having 32 countries and fans of these countries together in the same place and celebrating in a peaceful and joyful environment was something that we will bring as well in this part of the world. It will be a completely different World Cup because it will be much greater, much bigger.
Other notable guests included FIFA legends from the 1994 FIFA World Cup tournament that was hosted here in the United States. Alexis Lalas and Jorge Campos, and two-time World Cup winner Brazil's Ronaldo Nazario.
I think it's going to be an incredible World Cup. as we see every 4 years, especially with the possibility of many countries that have never had the chance to be in the World Cup and to compete in this tremendous competition.
Along with the brand logo, FIFA also introduced the hashtag #WeAre26 campaign, empowering people, places, and communities to share the unique stories on social media.
Is going to mean to soccer in not just the United States, but our friends to the North Canada and our friends to the South Mexico in terms of this joint hosting and what it means for the evolution of soccer. I'm sitting here on this green carpet, I'm sitting here in this incredible environment for one reason. The 1994 World Cup, it changed my life forever. I lived the power of what a World Cup can do to an individual.
For the first time ever, the new World Cup format will include 48 teams, up from the original 32, and bring the matches to a staggering 104. According to FIFA, the tournament will begin in June of 2026 and run until Sunday, July 19th, when the champion will be crowned. Now over to basketball. Jamal Murray played the greatest quarter of his career at the biggest time. He scored a resounding 37 points in Denver's 108-103 win over the Los Angeles Lakers in Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals on Thursday night, doing almost all of his damage in the final 10 minutes. Talk about saving the best for last. Murray single-handedly outscored the Lakers 23-22 towards the end. He turned around an awful shooting start and helped the Nuggets grab a 2-0 lead in the West title series. So, during that 10-minute stretch, Murray was 6 for 7 from the field, 4 for 5 from three-point range, and 7 from 8 from the line. The 23-point outburst was the highest scoring quarter of Murray's career, and it was the 9th 20-point quarter for him as well. 5 of those coming in fourth quarters. As for the Cali team, Austin Reeves led the charge for the Lakers, who will have a chance to bounce back in the series tomorrow from the Crypto.com Arena at 5:30 p.m. Let's kick it back to soccer for this last piece. The San Jose Earthquakes have signed midfielder Edwin Mendoza, defender Oscar Verhoeven, and forward Chance Cowell to homegrown player contracts. Mendoza and Verhoeven represent the U.S. Under-17 national team alongside fellow homegrown midfielder Cruz Medina, while Cowell has competed for the United States and Mexico at the youth levels. Mendoza is a left-footed central midfielder from San Jose. He is rated by Top Draw Soccer as the 21st best player in the country. Verhoeven is a speedy, skillful, right-footed fullback from Pleasant Hill. He made 13 appearances for the U.S. Under-17 national team. He's the second highest rated defender in the country. Meanwhile, Chance Cowell, brother of Kate Cowell, joined the Earthquakes Under-15 squad for the Generation Adidas Cup. San Jose continues to develop its youth ranks with the hopes of developing the MLS's next biggest star.
That is it for today's Sports Roundup. I'm Carlos Reyes. Thank you for watching.
Thanks, Carlos. That's all we've got for you tonight. We'd like for you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcasts at ntd.com/California-Today. You can also find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with your friends and family. Send us a message on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Ganjing World, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. We'd love to hear from you. I'm David Lamb. Have a wonderful weekend.